Hey guys, welcome to another scripting tutorial. Today we're going to talk about Surface GUIs, and as you can see here we already have one. I just have one kind of ready for us. I just have it so every time we click the button it changes colors, so that's pretty cool. If you watched the before watching this, I recommend watching my other GUI tutorial just for regular GUIs, where I showed you how to make these little buttons that teleport you to different places. Surface GUIs are they're pretty much exactly the same as these, except they're on bricks, and they are a little bit different, because if you want them to interact with the player or the character, you need to do a little something special, which I will show you how to do. For example, well, actually, so this little Surface GUI has just a script inside it that says whenever it's clicked, it's going to change the color. This one over here, if you click on this one, it will teleport you. And it will also change color, just kind of for fun. And these two are scripted a little bit differently because, you know, that one requires a little, since that one is, actually, it needs to get my character, it needs to get who is clicking it. There's not like a super easy way to get who's clicking it, and I'm going to show you how to do both of these today. I'm going to show you how to make just one of these work, and then also how to make that guy work, the one that can do stuff with the player. So let's go back to editing. This guy has, okay, well, first of all, if you don't know a Surface GUI, like how to make a Surface GUI, you just go to your advanced objects and search it Surface GUI, put it inside of a brick. If it doesn't show up, that's because you don't have a brick selected or something. And then you put whatever inside the Surface GUI you want to put, like text buttons or whatever. So I'll show you how to do that from scratch real quick. Let's insert a part, and let's anchor it. Good to have it symmetrical depending on what you're doing. In this case, I kind of want it symmetrical. I think yeah, that stretches out the text. So if you want the if you don't want it to stretch out the text, then you'll probably want to make things easier on yourself and have it symmetrical. There, you can make it so that it doesn't stretch out the text when you make a bigger brick, but then you have to do a little bit of math, which isn't too big of a deal, I guess, but you know. Okay, so we just I had this part selected, I double clicked that to put a Surface GUI in it, and there's nothing on it because there's nothing inside the Surface GUI. So we just select the Surface GUI and put in like a text box, or a text button, I should say. Text box on a Surface GUI would be interesting. And it's on this side, we can see. So if we, okay, so you can choose which surface you want the Surface GUI on, and right now it's on the front surface, as you can see, front surface right here. So I guess the best thing to do, instead of changing the surface of the Surface GUI, we can just make it, just resize the part. That'd probably be best. Okay, so then you're going to want to change well, let's see here. This text button, when it comes to size for GUIs, or for Surface GUIs, the size of the brick right here, or the face, it kind of represents the screen. So right now it's like 200 by 50 pixels. Like, I guess you would say that this width right here is about 200 pixels, but if we just want it to fill up the entire brick, we're going to use the scale instead of the offset. and I explained what those are in the other GUI tutorial. So, and you'll notice the text is really small, so let's make it bigger. 48. Still pretty small. If you want to make the text bigger, then you have to shrink the canvas size of the Surface GUI. So, you know, just because it kind of makes the text larger relative to this canvas size. And let's make it like 200 by 200. That looks good. Cool. So let's rotate this around. Oh no. Okay. Let's just to make it prettier, set the background transparency to 1, and that way we can let's make this ice. That'll be kind of cool, just for fun. Okay. Oh man, what's going on? All right. So now let's script it. We can. So normally in GUIs, you're gonna want to use local scripts. See over here, these two things are the buttons on the top left, and inside them we have local scripts, and that's because games nowadays have this thing called filtering enabled, and usually you want to turn that on in your game. The only problem with that is that it makes it harder to script. Not necessarily harder, just you have to do it in a different way. But for now, we'll just leave that off. You don't need to worry about that right now. If you have, well, just anyway, you should only use local scripts inside your starter or inside of any GUI basically, except for in Surface GUIs. That's because Surface GUIs are in the workspace and not inside the player, so it's okay to use regular scripts. So here, instead of putting in a local script, I have the text button selected. Let's just put a regular script, and we'll go script.parent .mouse button 1 click connect. Well, let's make a function up here. Function funkyton function. What shall we call this? Change color, and nothing inside the parentheses, and we'll put change color in there. And again, I explained this in the other GUI tutorial, and we're gonna do pretty much the same thing that we did. I think I explained how to do this. We're gonna just make it so that it changes colors. So if script, well, let's make it easier to type here. Button equals script.parent, then we can type button instead of script.parent every time. If button equals, or no, if button dot, and we're going to change the text color. Text color 3 is equal to let's make a couple other tags up here. So blue equals color 3.new 0 0 1, and let's make it change between blue and green. Green equals color 3.new 0 1 1 or 0. Okay, so it's just setting blue to blue and 0 is red, or in the first for when you want to change a text color, you want to use color 3. And so we have 0 for the red, 0 for the green, and 1 for the blue, and so that sets it to blue. And then we have kind of the same thing for green. So if button.textcolor3 is equal to green, then green, then button.textcolor3 equals blue. So if it's green, then it's going to turn blue. Otherwise, button.textcolor3 equals green. And this should work. And by the way, kind of like I actually showed you guys this last time. instead of having a whole separate function up here, sometimes it's just easier to put the function right inside this connect thing here. So what we do is we can say function and then 2 parentheses like that. Instead of giving it a name right here, it doesn't need a name because we're just giving it a direct function. And let's just copy this. Oops, copy this. Hit enter. It's gonna fill it out for us automatically. Looks like it gave us 1 extra parentheses. And we, all right. And then we can get rid of this. And it saved us a couple lines there, and you know, less writing, I guess. So let's go test it. Control S to save, F5. Let's make sure it works. And text colo 3. You probably, I accidentally spelled something wrong. I missed an R. Okay, now it should work. I'm getting this weird error every time I start the game. This function is not yet enabled. I don't even know what it's talking about. It's probably a broken plugin or something. Okay, so now it's working. Yeah, there's our Surface GUI, and you can do a lot more advanced stuff with this, like make the GUIs open and close doors or turn lights on and off or whatever. I've done that before. It's pretty cool. So that's pretty easy. If you want to do that with Surface GUIs, you can do it. Now there's just a little thing we want to do if we want to do something with the player. So maybe in a game you want to have just a little, maybe like in a hub world or something, you want to have Surface GUIs that you can click on to teleport you to different other worlds or something. And in order to do that, you need to get the player. So now I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's just leave this guy here. I believe this is working. Yeah, so this here is our example. This is done. So this is our example of how to do it. We have a Surface GUI with a local script that runs everything, and but the Surface GUI is inside the script. It can be also here and just have the script reference the GUI differently. If I'm making any sense, then yay, but I'll show you what I'm doing here. So let's just make one from scratch, and let's just copy this and get rid of everything inside it. Bloop. Okay, so now this is just a regular brick, and we can put it right here. How does that sound? Okay, so what we're gonna do is make it so when we click this Surface GUI, do the same thing that this one does. We're just gonna make it teleport us to this home tele brick thing. That's all we're gonna do. And so of course we're gonna want to put in a screen GUI, or no, not a screen GUI. Of course, a screen GUI, Surface GUI. And then we just decorate it. So I'll just since you've already seen me do this, I will pause. Okay, so while you're editing, something I'd like to point out is, notice, like, what if I want to change the camera angle and my mouse kind of is on the Surface GUI while I want to change? If I right click and move my mouse, it doesn't work. So it's kind of annoying just to kind of have Surface GUIs all over. So I'm going to show you a way to make this make that not a problem. The only problem is that you won't be able to see the Surface GUI. So when people play the game, they'll see it, but while we're editing, it won't be there. So it won't be in our way, but also we won't be able to see it. So we won't know what it looks like unless we feel like editing it and putting it inside this brick, which I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so I'm going to show you that way. You can do it however you like. But this is how I like to do it. So we're just going to put a regular script in here, and well, let's exit out of all these. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that this Surface GUI, instead of just being in the workspace or inside this part which is in the workspace, we're going to make it so that this Surface GUI is inside the player, or the player's player GUI. And that's the only way to make it like recognize who is clicking this button. So to put it inside the player GUI, we're gonna put a script in here that will, instead of just having this inside the workspace, it's going to put it inside the starter GUI. So players will end up starting with this Surface GUI. Starter GUI, it's just how everything, whenever player respawns, it copies everything from the starter GUI into the player GUI. And that's how it works. So, actually there is another way that might be able to be done. What if... I don't know if that'd be a very good idea anyway. Hold on a second. Okay, never mind. I just tried something different that I wasn't planning on doing that I thought might end up being better, but I don't think it's going to be better. So, like I said, the way we can do it is we can either just start scripting, or we can just drop this Surface GUI inside the script. That way it doesn't show up. That way we can move our camera around whenever we're like looking at this break or whatever. And so yeah, like I said, we're going to put the Surface GUI inside the starter GUI. And what we're going to do that is use this script. So all we have to do is say script dot Surface GUI dot parent equals game dot starter GUI, and we're almost done. However, if we just did that, then the Surface GUI wouldn't know what part it's trying to it wouldn't know what part it's decorating, basically. So we can fix that just by, before parenting it, we can say script.surfacegui .adornee equals script.parent. And script.parent is the tablet, and which I just barely renamed to the tablet. So what adornee does is it just says, so normally a Surface GUI will decorate the its parent, and since right now its parent is the script, it has nothing to decorate. So what it does, what the script is doing, is it's telling the Surface GUI, okay, I want you to decorate this tablet here, and so no matter where you are, you're going to decorate this tablet. So that's what the adornee is. And if we look at the Surface GUI, we can see this property right here. We can only change it using scripts and not in this property window. So now we haven't coded this text button to do anything yet, but just for now we can show. Cool, and it's right here. So even though it wasn't showing up in Studio, you can see it's showing up right here. And as we can see, there are two Surface GUIs here. That's because one of these Surface GUIs belongs to that button over there, and I can still click on it even if I'm way over here. So I guess one of these belongs to, oh look, okay, so this one says this adornee is the tablet, so this is the tablet. That over there is just a tablet. This is the tablet. So this Surface GUI used to be in here. And I guess if we select this, you can see there is no more Surface GUI in it. That's because it moved it to the starter GUI. And in this player here, the only reason we're seeing it is because it is right here. The Surface GUI is inside the player GUI. And that is why we can see this. So then at this point, we can just kind of script this text button as if it were just a regular GUI. So let's put a local script inside it. And of course, right now it's in the workspace, but this local script is going to end up being inside the player, because I kind of already explained that. And so we're able to, since it's a local script, we'll be able to get the player. When it runs inside the player, it's gonna know what the player is, and so we'll be able to, from the player, get the character. so that we can teleport the characters. So first of all, we're going to do player equals game.players.localPlayer. Then we're going to go what are we going to do? Scripts.parent.mouse button one click. Connect function. Boom. Okay. So all we have to do here, we're gonna make it teleport to this guy, and it is called home telly, and it's just in the workspace. So we can do player.character dot torso dot cframe equals game dot workspace dot home telly dot cframe, and I think this will work. You know, and you could, if you wanted to, make this more safe. So like sometimes if this is like a battle arena or something, maybe the character's torso got shot by a laser and it no longer exists. And so this will break because player.character.torso is not even there, and it will break the script. But if the torso isn't even there, then the character's dead and is probably going to respawn anyway, so not too big of a deal. But here, instead of using game.workspace.hometelly.cframe, we should probably use wait for child home telly .cframe, and that's because maybe this brick hasn't loaded yet for the player or something. You know, that's just how you should do it sometimes, I guess. So game.workspace wait for child home telly.cframe. Yep. And this should work. If we go here, F5, let's clear this in case we get problems. Cool, it's working. Sweet. So yeah, pretty simple. And also, if you wanted to, you could change the color of it whenever you clicked on it, kind of like I did over there with that thing. And I think that'll do it for this tutorial. Yep, so I just kind of went around and made sure everything's alright. By the way, the only reason this is appearing in editing mode and not in play mode, I don't know if you noticed or not, that's because I have a script inside it that turns it invisible when the game starts, basically, just so you're not confused. So yeah, every time we click the button, it teleports us to this invisible brick. That's what's happening. And yeah, thanks for watching this tutorial, and I hope this was helpful. Yep, had a few people who wanted this done, so glad I could help, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.